it must be Wednesday night because you're here for FrostCast episode 5 with me, Winter Wolf, and King Z, who's behind the scenes and about to come in because we've got some pretty interesting stuff to cover this week, all across news for nerd stuff. We had some gaming stuff we're tying in tonight, a little bit of Star Wars, a little bit of box office reporting, and then something sketchy going on at Rotten Tomatoes that's got kind of some industry implications for channels like us, guys like us. But let me bring in King Z though and see how he's doing. We see what's up. There he is. He's on the left side. We gave the switch up. Never mind. To say we gave it the old switcheroo this week, but then he hit the back button and reset things to our format. Dude, what's going on, man?
Nothing much. Just here, just chilling at home, trying to get ready for tonight. So much stuff going on. So much stuff.
Yeah, there is, and we had a bunch of topics to pick from this week. I think we narrowed it down to some of the more interesting things, trying to get away from the bashing on the usual suspects, because I think those have all been bashed to death. We're waiting for the next batch of, no pun intended, with skeleton crew batch and things like that. But we're going to bash things in the future, but not other things. So we're going to question, I think, and we're going to ask more questions tonight than I think we're going to kick any dead horses. So you want to why don't you load up topic number 1, because I think there's a couple of dead horses in this one, but they're freshly dead, so it's okay. We can kick them a couple times.
All right, so this one, no big graphic on this one. I got some things I'm going to pull up a little bit later, but we're going to talk about these box office bombs that have been going on, just one after another here in the summer. Pretty much after Deadpool and Wolverine, it was just like snooze fest at the box office. So I'm going to pull up the numbers here. Let me go ahead and stop sharing here real quick and share my new screen right here. Boom. And let's pull that up. And we can look at the numbers. This is from last week's box office take. As you can see, Wolverine and Deadpool are number 1 again, pulling another 18 million, marking a $1.2 billion pull worldwide at the box office, 577 million domestically.
Dude, look at that. Look at the number of theaters there. Dude, look at the number of theaters it's still playing. And look at that. Look at that.
Yeah.
Probably absurd.
The second most theaters still after 5 weeks. So over a month it's been the theaters and still pulling in 18 million, because probably due to just lack of anything else out there to watch at this point.
I don't think it has any. I think you're right. I think you're mostly right on that. It doesn't have any direct competition. There's some Venn diagram overlap with Alien Romulus. It's just people that are into the genre stuff. You know what I mean? Comics, sci-fi, fantasy stuff. I think that there's some overlap between all those things. But that main cluster, I think you're right. If the main cluster of fans for Deadpool and Wolverine running unopposed and going back and seeing this for multiple goes, I guarantee there's nobody that's just getting around to seeing this for the first time in week 5. This almost has to be repeat views before all the kids went back to school. You know what I mean? Like one more maybe family trip to the theater, one more go before college starts. I think that's that kind of thing. But dude, look at that! Look at the bank! Look at the bank! Yeah. It's sick.
Now with Alien Romulus, the domestic number is very deceiving because it's made 278 million worldwide. So it's very popular outside of our domestic box office. So it has tripled its budget. Its budget was 80 million. Let's pull that up real quick.
It was about that. Yep. It was another very conservative for what it was. But modestly, I guess modestly would be less. You know what I mean? It was conservatively budgeted. And like we've talked about other projects recently, when I know you didn't see Romulus, Alien's not really a franchise. It's like your go-to. I mean, Aliens, Ripley, the bullet points of like the big stuff. But like when I went to see Romulus, I saw every dollar up on the screen somewhere in terms of production value, the effects that they used. I mean, they had animatronic Xenos, for Christ's sake. You know what I mean? They had robotic face huggers. It wasn't all just crap we can do in After Effects and splotch it up on Tubi or Sci-Fi Channel back in like the late 90s. Like that movie looked every bit it's 80 million. But again, I think the Alien franchise, unlike something like Deadpool, has never been this massive cash grabbing thing. You know what I mean? It started as niche horror in space, Halloween in space back in the 70s, and got bigger and more bombastic as it's gone with each iteration, barring probably all of them, I guess. So it doesn't surprise me that Alien Romulus didn't light the box office up for like 900 million or something like that. But if it tripled the budget, these guys they're riding gravy train right into the follow up. There has to be one. There's no reason for them not to. Like, why wouldn't they have a follow up?
So, and then that leads us into our new releases. Leading the way is Blink Twice, which is that psychological horror with our favorite method actor, Roy McIlroy.
I didn't get around to see this one yet. Is this the one that they had to stick a trigger warning at the front?
Yes.
Some adult themes, and people got their panties in a bunch over that. I don't know. I'm mixed on the trigger warning thing. I think the movie's rating is the trigger warning. I mean, it worked fine for 30 years since we had MPAA, or 50 years or whatever. But
people don't understand it anymore. People don't understand the MPAA anymore because what triggers an R ratings. Yeah. What used to trigger an R rating before is now like NC-17 or PG-13.
Dude, well, it's weird when you see the rating and they actually put in parentheses like what the rating, what earned it that rating, like before the movie. Like an R rating can have like a paragraph worth of things, or it can be smoking.
Smoking,
like cigarette smoking. Like that's it.
And that's a Netflix rating right there with the smoking.
Weird. It's just odd.
But here's the big one. Here's the big one I really want to point out right here. The Crow.
Yes, I'm glad you
this new one. $4 million brought in opening weekend on a $50 million budget. So it made 12% of its budget on opening weekend. But here's the part I also want to point out. This movie here, The Forge. This is a faith-based movie, and it opened the same weekend to $2 million more.
I did hear about that. I've seen trailers, but that's the one about the young black kid that's kind of like lost his way. He's looking for a job, like an older, like a men's club, not a dancing men's, not that kind of club.
No, it's
like a men's organization brings him into the fold.
Yeah,
you know what I mean, to help him set his life. Dude, that trailer looked pretty good.
Yeah, I'm actually going on Saturday to see it, so I'm going to go see The Forge on Saturday.
King's E secured location review to follow. Dude, let me hit on the Crow for a quick second because I got a 2-factor here, right? So I heard some updated numbers. I don't know if they're on this chart based on when you pulled it from, but apparently with the international stuff already having been compiled into it as of today, it's only just north of 5 million. It hasn't released in Australia yet, but there are, whichever, right? This movie's going down in flames, dude. It's like it flew over a target. It took all the flack and is now going down. Like I heard it, they're going to just put this whole movie in season 2 of Masters of the Air. That's how fiery this crash is. Like it's brutal how awful this movie's doing box office. But the other point to that I wanted to make was was Coraline up above it. Coraline I hadn't seen before. My stepdaughter asked me to bring her in to check it out, right? And you can see it. You had your pointer over just a minute ago. The point I wanted to make. This is a 15th anniversary re-release of a tween movie. It's not really for kids. I mean, I guess it's for kids. It's a little older. There's some creepy imagery, but it outperformed the Crow remake in half the screens. Half.
1,300. Yeah, almost half.
If you double 1,400, you get 2,800. It's right on that line. You could say double. It's okay. We can round. We're good.
I don't do that new math. Math is an exact science.
This isn't so. We're not running an experiment here. There's no hypothesis. Here's the hypothesis. They never should have remade The Crow. Here's the evidence right on your screen. That movie bombed atomically.
We want to talk about bombs. Let's talk about Borderlands here. 3 weeks in, 15 million. It has made a total of 19% of its budget after 3 weeks, and with a $120 million budget.
Dude, this breakdown of these two movies, you know what movie scene just flashed into my head instantly? The part in Rocky IV where Apollo Creed's trainer is begging Rocky to throw in the towel because the Russian just beat Apollo's brains in, and Rocky's just standing there with the towel and won't do it. Like, bro, I don't know what happened to the box office after Deadpool. Like, honestly, because remember, Inside Out 2 came out this year, Despicable Me 4 came out this year. The Twisters did really well. I just saw that up there. I forgot all about that because I didn't get up to see that one. I know you did. But these two Lionsgate movies, these two movies for Lionsgate have taken an absolute effing bath. And I'm like, we need to do like a root cause analysis of this or something. Because think about it. You got The Crow is a well-known IP. Borderlands probably isn't the most well-known thing, but I think gamers all know what Borderlands is. But
Yeah.
both of these movies have been in production hell since like 10 years ago. You know what I mean? What's the holdup?
Yeah, Bozme asked you this question. Is the Kevin Hart thing done? Like, Kevin Hart was in so many movies. I
forgot he was in Borderlands.
Yeah.
Why is he telling me about Kevin Hart?
He never turns down a project, apparently.
My man likes to work.
But a lot of the stuff he does brings in money. Does this mean that the Kevin Hart gravy train is over?
Dude, you know why it's not? Dude, I get this dude took this job, and maybe he was doing somebody a favor. Maybe he's best friends with Eli Roth, and he did the Borderlands job as a favor. I don't know. But he wasn't Kevin Hart in the movie, and that's the problem. Kevin Hart only works when he's being Kevin Hart, and he's playing comic relief to like the tough guy, to the Mark Wahlberg, to the Ice Cube, to the pick whatever other tough guy, to the Vin Diesel if that was ever a thing, or Jason Momoa. Like you take him because he's 5'3" and funny, and you stack him against the guy that's jacked and does all the punching and shooting. You know, you don't put Kevin Hart in there as Roland. They would have been better off putting Kevin Hart in there as the Crow. It would have been exactly the same movie. Dude, matter of fact, that might have actually made Borderlands better had they put Bill Skarsgård in there as Roland. Beef him up a little bit, you know what I'm saying? But like, I mean, outside of that whole movie just being, both of these movies, now that I think of it, because you didn't see either one of them, right? You're just running numbers on these two. Yeah, I saved
just running numbers.
Congratulations. I saved you $40 effing on these movies. Congrats. Okay, you don't gotta go. Right. Matter of fact, I won't even ask you to watch them on Netflix for like a retro review because it was that bad. Like The Crow, guys, go check out my video. I'd really like to get some eyeballs on it. I didn't get as many people checking that out as I thought I would. I'm kind of disappointed. Go check it out. Just like Romulus, but kind of at a different speed. The further I get away from The Crow, the more I've actually come to dislike it. I came in fairly lukewarm to negative on The Crow initially, but the more I got away and kind of picked apart at it, I'm like, I don't care that they tried to do something new with that movie. They should have just not called it The Damn Crow and made it a Return from the Dead Vengeance tale and called it Vengeance. I don't care. Call it Dark Vengeance, whatever. But they didn't. They co-opted the imagery, didn't use it right. They co-opted the revenge tale, didn't use that right. And all the character development crap that you and I are always crying we don't get in things counted for nothing because it was executed so poorly. Like, honestly, how can you spend 40 minutes with main characters and then when one of them gets fridged to push the plot forward, make me not care? I don't know. Ask the people at The Crow. They managed it. They figured out they cracked the code, dude. I honestly did not care that Shelley Webster died in this movie when I had already spent 40 minutes with her. But when Shelley Webster starts the original Crow movie dead already, like you're in tears when Eric crawls out of the grave and goes back to his wrecked ass apartment and realizes like it's not a bad dream. Like this all happened. I did not care not one effing bit in this movie, not one. And it's box office shenanigans with these two movies. It's not shenanigans. It's just box office depression. We need to dial up some Zoloft for Lionsgate. Imagine taking two multi-$100 million bombs like that, with known IPs that you got to think that at some point they expected to make a little bit of money on these because they didn't have $300 million budgets. It's not Snow White. It's not Captain America 4. But where are we at?
Who knows? I haven't watched the movies. All I can see is the numbers, and the numbers don't lie. And speaking of numbers, apparently we can't go to one of our favorite review sites that get proper numbers, as Rotten Tomatoes has changed its rating scheme to protect the corporations from supposed review bombing. Alleged review bombing.
Dude.
So
here we go. Review bomb needs to be on that list of terms with like pandemic and misinformation that I never hear again. I'm over the expression. I don't care. It only ever gets pitched one way when fans overwhelmingly respond negatively to something, like The Acolyte, like Book of Boba Fett, like DCEU movies, like Shazam 2.
The stuff you're supposed to like because they're telling you what to like.
Exactly correct. And they only selectively apply that, which is hilarious. You didn't hear anybody saying that The Crow got review bombed, did you? Diverse cast, black female lead, It's like, the elements of addiction in there. There was some social narrative in there. Nobody's accusing that of review bomb because it sucked outright, and there wasn't any social credit score value to accusing you and I of review bombing that. So anytime you see the term review bomb, you can almost be assured that somebody's being hypocritically lying to your face while they're doing it.
It's not
or
being
virtue signaling to your
hypocritical.
face.
It's
they're
them
virtue
telling
signaling to your
you
face, like gaslighting you.
this is what you're supposed to like.
Right.
If you don't like this, of course
Bad person.
you hit all the big phobes or ist out there.
Phobes, bad persons, Yahtzees, as Jeremy in the Quartering says. I don't like. That's the thing. I don't even like having to use code words. They try to suppress our opinions on these things to the point where we have to actually 1984 double speak. No, that's not double speak. But we have to basically speak coded language to be able to express that opinion. And I find it ridiculous. And nobody review bombed The Acolyte. It was terrible. Because did anybody accuse anybody of review bombing Ahsoka? Black female lead, diverse cast, lukewarm reviews to negative. Nobody reviewed. Everybody else was Rosario Dawson. No review bomb. But The Acolyte, though, review bomb. Please.
And actually more than half had nothing to do with any of the things that they're saying that we were scared of in it, with a female lead or a minority lead. No, we were tired of the CW type dialogue, and we were tired of the CW2 type plots and people changing their motivations at a drop of a hat. That's what we were tired of. And let's just bring this up one second. Let me get here. They're talking about this petition that they signed to renew. So if there's such thing as review bombing, there has to be review
it's review brigading. It's review brigading. That's the upside of the review bomb. It's been coined review brigade. Continue.
Yeah, I went and watched, read some of the reasons why they're signing it, and one, there's a lot of misspellings. Two, no one talks like half the people that are on there. So as they talk about people who were review bombing and using AI and bots to do it, they're doing the exact same thing to sign that petition. So there is that. But let's get back to the story at hand here. Let's go ahead.
Wait. I have more in the petition. Hold up. The petition.
Okay.
So the petition just hit like 50K earlier today, and already I've seen people. How much?
500,000.
There's no chance it hit 500,000. No chance. Then you added a zero. It was 52,000 when I was working today. There's no chance it's 500,000. But even if it were, while you're looking it up so you can put it up on screen, all right? At 52,000, I was already seeing people taking victory laps that this somehow is going to shake the bigwigs at Disney into relaunching this show that cost them a near $250 million. We do a little math. We know King Z don't like to do that complicated math, but I'll do a little math for you. If you divide the cost of season 1 versus the number of people that signed this petition, which is effectively you checked a box and added an email address, not that you made a phone call, not that you wrote a letter, not that you sent in any receipts with anything you bought, not that you threatened to cancel Disney Plus, nothing like that, nothing meaningful.
Yep.
Added a zero, right?
Yep. It's 56,000.
Dude, I would have shit my pants if it was 500,000. Like, all right, we might be wrong. If you divide the 180 million by the 56,000 people, it comes to about $3,100. So everybody on that petition has to pony up a check for 3 G's to cover the cost of season 1. And as we know, unless they front loaded, which they probably didn't do with this piece of shit show, season 2 would probably be more expensive unless they actually got their crap together and cut the expense. God only knows where they cut it from. They didn't put any of the damn money on screen in season 1. But yeah, I just wanted to throw that in there about the petition's hilarious. The petition for Game of Thrones to redo season 8 got 2 million people in a month. It's still trickling signatures, by the day. Like a million people in the first month. And now it's up to 2.2 million 5 years later. So you got 50,000. Good for you. It changes nothing. You bought nothing. You watched nothing. You're supporting it because you like the idea of it. Because you like to check those boxes. And that's fine. But no one's giving you another $200 million on that. It's not happening. But back to what we were talking about with the tomato meter, because you and I were just talking about that right as soon as the live stream kicked off a little bit.
Yep.
And we definitely have some thoughts. Go ahead. Yep.
Yeah, so they're changing our favorite certified fresh to verified hot. By verified hot means that people can only review if you're a verified person who bought a ticket through Fandango. From what everybody who's looked it up, it even says that in this article at one point,
The article is from Cosmic Book News, guys. Cosmicbooknews.com.
So right here's a good look at the way it changed. Like it's certified fresh here. You got a big popcorn bucket with 97. So the new one will look like this, which it dropped 2% on both of those somehow with the new rating schemes. And it's like, see, verified ratings. As this one, I guess it did say verified ratings there too. And then, of course, we were just talking about the Acolyte with its 18%. And this is what it's trying to prevent, to start protecting studios on their investments. So how does Rotten Tomatoes confirm fans bought tickets? It's through the Fandango app, because Fandango owns Rotten Tomatoes. So that is the only way. Now, TV shows are going to be thrown out to this, so there's no way to verify it. They said right here.
So it wouldn't save the Acolyte. It would just save things like the Marvels that, die on the vine because weekend one is so bad because we know going in that we're going to dunk on these things. They're actually going to try and conceal this. You're coming up on that part now. They're going to actually conceal the numbers until certain gateways or thresholds are hit. Talk about that because you understand it a little bit better than I do, I think.
So the reviews will not show based on the projected income of the movie, the box office intake. So if it's a movie that's projected to make 120 million or more, which is your top tier on this one, there's four tiers: 120 million plus, 60 to 120, or 60 or no projection. Below 60 million or no projection.
And then the indies. Yeah.
And then the bottom one is film festival premieres. So movies that hit film festival before going to theaters. So the average critic rating has to have 350 number of reviews. And for the tomato meter, it needs to have at least 40 of them registering on the tomato meter, not just writing reviews. Now,
this is the worst. God, keep going, man. This is just awful.
The audience score for the same budget movie, they have the same 4 tiers for the audience score. It's 13,000 audience reviews before it'll be shown, and a threshold of the popcorn meter or star rating of 500 before it'll be shown.
Dude, this is going to blow up spectacularly in their face, and I'll tell you why, because it just occurred to me, right? The only time I've ever seen anything be flooded with reviews like this are in the worst kind of situations. Like when Rings of Power came out with season 1, that Bad Andy got like 15,000 reviews in the first week when they opened with 2 episodes because people knew that it was going to be hot garbage. So people showed up and left like paragraph long descriptors about stuff that there's no way AI could have predicted and put in the review because the material the AI would have learned from didn't exist yet with the negative reviews about Rings of Power. These were all right off the rip. Or when something like the Marvels, a Thor Love and Thunder comes out. Like, no, that's when you're going to get a boatload of actual negative reviews anyway. All this does here is gatekeep people that bought their damn tickets through the app. So if you buy it at the theater, like what, you don't get to have an opinion? Fuck out of here.
Yep. Or ridiculous. Say I did buy it through the app, but I bought like 7 tickets because I'm taking my whole family, and now my family doesn't have an opinion. It's only under my name.
Which is asinine, dude. This is the worst kind of thing that happens to keep information out of people's hands, to control narratives, and it never, ever works how they think it will. When Rotten Tomatoes was manipulating scores and locking numbers for, they did it for the Marvels for a little bit. They had actually stopped taking reviews for Captain Marvel when that came out. There's another big one, and I can't remember which one it was, where they basically got caught cooking on it. I can't remember. I wish I could remember what it was now. But there's no way this works out there. I mean, other aggregators will pop up. We know IMDb is also compromised because they're part of Amazon's umbrella worth of services and things like that. But there are other ones out there. Metacritic is probably still okay. You're just gonna have to find more independent voices that you trust. Voices on YouTube at certain small channels that appreciate your support, or other bigger places that are growing like criticlist.com. That's a good fan-friendly one, kind of free speech focused. Let you kind of put your reviews out there. They tend not to interfere with what your take on new movies and shows is at Criticalist. We're not sponsored. I'd like to be because I like Criticalist. I use it, but I think other sites like that'll pop up. You remember back in the day there was a website called Arrow in the Head. They did horror reviews. It was part of the JoBlo.com consortium of movie review sites. They had a great little rating system about like a good horror movie was like 5 arrows through the head. Like a 4-star was like I'd kill my own family to go see this twice kind of thing. It was kind of comical, darkly humorous. But like those kind of sites, and that actually got too big and became all kind of left leaning and corporatized. But on its way up, when it was still managed by the founder and kind of there were only 2 or 3 writers on the staff, it was very, I like this. I like King Z's opinions. So if he likes these things, there's 9 out of 10, 90% chance I'll also like them. The other the 2 guys, I don't really like them, so I'm not going to pay attention to their reviews. It's kind of like how we do things with like the Critical Drinkers channel, or we listen a lot. We've taken to listening to a lot about Star Wars theory when we're doing our Acolyte run, because we know their interests kind of lie where ours lie. So if Star Wars theory is dunking on the Acolyte, and I've never seen anybody give something a bigger fair shake than that guy. You know what I'm saying? Like if he actually uninstalled that new game like halfway through his second Outlaws, that Star Wars game. He's like, nope, I'm done. Can't do it.
Yeah, he also, I mean, he was pretty fair on the sequel trilogies as well.
Yeah,
like he found good things about them. So
that's what I'm saying. So I mean, you find those things in reviews. You're a big sports guy. We've talked all the time about doing. I know you is, brother. We talk about all the time about. There he goes. Oh, and look at my subtitle. Look at my subtitle. There you go. I'll let you borrow that for next week.
No,
it's like sports. And I saw maybe we should swap them. That might be a better fit, considering the Celtics just won and almost.
And Michigan's the national champion.
That's a good point. Yeah, good point. See, now I got good point myself out of. Oh no, we find people in sports like sportscasters. Some people like Stephen A. Some people don't. Some people like who's the other dude? McAfee, dude, right out of my mouth. You know what I'm saying? Like the 2 controversial guys. Some people actually still like Skip. I don't know why. I don't know how. You know what I'm saying? But like different strokes.
I miss Kevin Van Pelt.
Yeah, dude. I miss Wilbon in the end. Was it Kornweiser on PTI and PTI around the horn? I love those guys.
They're still there. Them 2 are still doing PTI.
I'm saying I haven't seen them in a while, but you find people. But I would watch that, but I wouldn't watch Jamel Hill and the other dude that did a similar version of that show, like the arguing back and forth show.
Yeah,
you just find like I didn't watch a lot of Greeny and Golick, but to get back on track, right? You find people you like. You find people whose opinions are kind of in line with yours. You do create a little bit of an echo chamber, but that's kind of the point when you're going to spend your money. Like an echo chamber is good to that effect. Like an echo chamber is not good when you're exchanging ideas about the culture, about politics, about
religion, anything like that. Just people who bounce back your same ideas right back at you, just to reaffirm what you're thinking.
Right,
is not good. But if you're going to spend money, you want to find people who like. If he likes the same books I'm liking, he's not, and he doesn't like this book. There's a good chance I'm not going to like it. It's
solid,
too.
Right? And in a world of options, because face it, we've got options for our entertainment dollars. It's like when I bought a new car earlier in the year. I hit up everybody I knew about certain types of vehicles I was looking at that I knew either had them or had them recently in the past. And they could say, this Infinity's junk. Don't get the BMW X1. Look at the Hyundai this. Look at the Audi Q5. Look at all these different things. And then you kind of rank things up in your head and you go with what trusted opinions say, because it's safer to do that than to take a shot on, I could go get a Chevy Traverse. The ratings on shit that I read online say it's good, but I have a friend that had one and it was awful. Like, yeah, no, it might be okay. The ratings are good, but why risk it? Movies are expensive, dude. How much does it cost you to take the wife to go to a non-matinee on a Saturday and maybe get a snack and a drink, bro? $50? $55?
You don't want to
ask me about Movie Pass
because I'm on Movie Pass. If you haven't got your Movie Pass yet, you should go sign up. I do not get any money for sponsoring them, but with Movie Pass, I pay $10.
He had a card on hand.
I pay $20 a month. I get 63 credits to watch movies. The reason why I pay $20 a month is because it's 10 for my wife, 10 for me, because you have to have separate accounts for different people. Right. You can't buy more tickets. But I get to, on average, see 3 to 4 movies for $10 a month. And now the food, on the other hand, we do have a really cool theater here. It's called Riverwatch. They have a bar food area that you can get like different than your normal movie theater food. So we buy a box of chicken tenders that comes with fries, some dipping sauces. We get one drink to share. It's roughly about $12 to $13 for all of that for us.
Better than buying it at the concession stand, dude. That same bit at the concession stand is going to cost you $40 by itself. Dude, I've been to so many movies the last month doing reviews for the channel. The poor girl at the concession stand, last time I went in, she asked me, "You're probably still not a Star Pass member, are you?" And I was like, "No." And she goes, "You realize all of this shit would have been free today, right?" And I was like, "I know." And she's like, "Do you want to sign up?" I was like, "No." And then, of course,
AMC
dude,
had a really good loyalty
yep,
with their
it's pretty slapping.
stubs.
Star Pass is pretty slapping. It
Yeah,
is. You do get good
just
value
sign
back
up.
on the popcorn. It's $12, dude. Popcorn, $12 for a large. 12.
That's why they gotta bring back. That's why they gotta bring back drive-through theaters where you can bring your own food in with you.
Dude, got one. We got one up here, and they actually get newish stuff.
Ours
they
does
had
too
Deadpool,
here.
like I think first weekend they had Deadpool Wolverine. A carload of people, $40. Yeah. I got an SUV now, bro. I can load you, the wife, two of my kids, my wife, bring all people.
Yeah.
The problem is I don't want to sit in my car for 4 hours because everything they do is a double, I think.
Well, see, that's why you pop the back, you get the lawn chairs, you get the speakers.
Dude, that's what everybody says. You know who says that? People that aren't in their 40s that don't mind sitting on the back of an SUV or in a lawn chair for 4 hours. Dude, I don't have any chronic pain issues. I still don't want to do that. That sounds terribly uncomfortable. Listen to me whining. But you jumped out of planes 75 times. You think your knees, ankles, and hips want to sit in the back of my SUV for 4 hours for Deadpool, Wolverine, and The Conjuring 9?
That's why I bring my camping chair. My camping chair is great.
That's what the other half said. I'm like, do you not remember me in the beach in a camping chair for 2 hours? Was I a happy wolf? Did I strike you as a happy-go-lucky guy? It's a camp chair, dude. It sucks.
I'm good with it.
Dude. All right, dude. Next time you come up, drive in on me. Bring your chair. Bring your stupid chair, dude. We'll make
I'll bring my chair.
I like my extra chair. Can you bring me a good one?
I have
2 chairs, dude. Dude. I'll pay the freight. Fly them up, bro. Fly them up. But yeah, you're right, dude. People are out for bang for their buck. People need it. This shit's expensive. It's garbage that Rotten Tomatoes is going to try to impede your ability to intelligently make a decision while they're just shilling and defending for corporate interest bullshit. You know, the audience is almost never wrong. I can't do. Can you even remember the last time you disagreed with an audience score? Like maybe it was a superhero movie along the way that it just hit for you. Like maybe you really like Blue Beetle, but like I know because the audience score was still pretty good for Blue Beetle. But something like that, you know what I mean? I feel like that's the only time that happens. Like I didn't walk out of Dark Knight going, that wasn't a 97. That was easily a 40. Like that just doesn't happen. You know?
I trust the audience score more than I would ever trust the critic score.
Oh, dude, that's a no-brainer. We say that all the time, that the pattern to monitor for, like a good thing is when the audience and the critics are the same. You know, like Mando season 1, 97, 95 or whatever that was. Dark Knight, 97, 97. It's when the critic score is high and the audience score is low. That's when you got to throw up the red flag. That's the red flag. You know what I mean? But if audience is high and critic is low, dude, that's an easy go see this movie. It's going to be solid. Except for The Crow. The Crow, I think the critics destroyed that. And the audience had that at like a solid 60 something. I was shocked when they released that number because they didn't release that until like Friday evening, the weekend it came out. So yeah, Rotten Tomatoes, got to give that a winner. Wolf rejects. We'll still reference it from time to time for the lulls, I guess, as we they've already rolled out this change, correct? Like this is already in progress?
Yes. Yes, because they were showing what the new ones already looked like. So like,
I didn't know if that was perspective or not. So all right, so that's already there. So we'll have to use it for the rest of the year and just see how exactly information is being manipulated, especially considering Rings of Power starts this week. Starts tomorrow with like a 3-episode bomb, I think.
Yeah, you got
we'll know.
Rings of Power, and you have the new Terminator animated series on Netflix dropping tomorrow.
Right. But I think Rings of Power, given what it is going to have a volume of people watching it that Terminator wishes it was going to get, you know, for right or wrong, for better or worse. So we'll know how Rotten Tomatoes is going down or not. Although that's a series, so I guess that wouldn't apply. How does that gatekeeping apply? It can't. Right? Because it's going to end up with 30,000 negative reviews or whichever. So I don't know. We'll let you guys know how the Tomatoes goes. We will let you know about alternatives we come across, interesting movie sites that have like written blog reviews, things like that. I recommend criticlist.com. Like I said before, go check them out. Good site, good people. King Z, what do we got next? I think this was our creative foray for the week. We're going to spend some time in the writer's room a little bit.
Yeah, surprisingly, we're all out of topics to talk about. Like it was a light news cycle this week. So we're going to try to go with some of our more funner things that we've talked about earlier in like episode 0, episode 1 of our different types of segments that we're going to do. So this next segment, we're going to sit here, and this one stemmed from an article I read where it was talking about like Star Wars is the only IP that Disney has bought that has not made its money back.
I remember you mentioning that.
And they were talking about where do they go wrong and how could they have done it different. So it sparked the idea of how we could have done the sequel trilogies differently. Now, there's two different ways of doing this. Me and him talked about this before we started, just to iron things out. So I'm gonna let him talk about his version, and I'm gonna talk about my version. His version is recasting. So go.
I'm actually a little surprised that was my gut instinct, because we've actually talked about this topic a few times over the years, even before I think we were probably doing a joint YouTube kind of channel. I think I'm far enough removed away from being attached to the original trilogy at this point and having seen the garbage that we got sequel trilogy, I say recast everything, right? Recast the originals. Don't give me any deep fakes. That way you can you get another crack at sticking to a story that George might have imagined in the first place. So even if you didn't necessarily do Heir to the Empire, because that wasn't George Lucas's planned follow-up. That was just something that Timothy Zahn wrote that on his own. Like, that wasn't
which was approved by Lucas.
Right, of course, because it's old canon, right? It was a potential 7, 8, and 9, or it was a fan version of 7, 8, and 9. That's how we interpreted that. But George Lucas's treatments for 7, 8, and 9, as he envisioned them, his notes, his story going forward, was something wildly different that had always included the Emperor becoming a larger threat down the line for 3 movies after the Vader redemption arc at the end of Return of the Jedi. I say they should have went ahead, recast the big 3. It's too bad that Carrie Fisher passed. It's too bad that Harrison Ford's 104 years old. It's too bad Mark Hamill's got terminal TDS. Whatever. Recast these people. I'm past being obsessed with them reunifying those 3 actors as those roles. I think I can get past it where they can then put these guys in the same place. They can have the core A plot to the story, which could be addressing whichever threat they wanted to do. Dude, they could bring in some of the criminal syndicate stuff with Prince Shizor. They could have taken elements from Heir to the Empire. They could have even done the First Order thing and properly set that up, giving the original big 3. I won't say Holy Trinity. I'll go big 3, right? They could have had the big 3 run the primary thrust of the first movie, right? And then, dude, and you can keep Finn, and you can keep Poe, and you can keep Rey, not Skywalker. Keep all your people. They get to have the B plots and run support for the big 3. The end of the movie is then like the medal ceremony from the OT, and then torches are gradually passed. Maybe, and it doesn't need to be 3 for 3. Like, maybe the torch gets passed from Han Solo down to Poe as like smuggler supreme with the heart of gold, who's now actually going to take an honest stab at fighting for the resistance. You explore the stuff they set up legitimately for Finn. I'm still not over that. The stormtrooper who joins Master Luke Skywalker as a new Jedi in training, because the old rules don't count. You're not too old, because I've looked in you and I see you want to do good. You want to pay back for the evil they made you do. That's compelling stuff. And even stuff with Rey. Like, you know what the biggest twist in that whole trilogy could have been, dude? The 5 seconds where it made it look like that she could actually have a dark side heel turn. I think that was Rise of Skywalker. I think, what was that? It was in TLG or Rise of Skywalker. I don't remember, where she was evil. She had the Bilbo Baggins fang teeth and the stupid fold out Swiss Army knife lightsaber. Remember that bullshit? That might have been TLJ. I honestly don't remember. It might have been Rise. I don't care. But imagine if halfway through like the first or second movie, she's actually like, fuck it, Kylo Ren, Snoke, and the Emperor are right. I'm gonna go do that. Dude, blown away. Dude, pin drop in the theater if she was the one that like ran through like Admiral Akbar or something. You know, there's enough there that they could have done something with, where they totally screwed the pooch, was sidelining everybody we loved to give us a bunch of new stuff that counted for nothing. And I think there were a million stories they could have gone with, just with the stuff that they purchased alone. We know they're not above absorbing that, you know? And I think that kind of ties into probably what your take is going to be on it. Like, you're probably going to give me a more creative, original story option instead of trying to retcon the garbage that they gave us. What do you think?
Yeah. One of the things I had to take into mind is that it is 30 years later. The actors have aged 30 years. And to keep the original cast together as what they tried to do, even though they didn't deliver it in the first movie as they should have, because, like, well, I guess the very end they gave us loot finally, but it was like, was it 30 seconds?
No dialogue. Yeah, no dialogue. Yeah. None.
What I would have done, I would have started either with I Jedi type storyline or the new Jedi Order already, and a new threat that is coming to the Empire. I would not have made or not the Empire, but the New Republic. I would have had the threat come from within, kind of a little bit of a throwback to Phantom Menace, where the Chancellor was part of already in the Senate as a respected senator from Naboo.
Yeah, people loved him.
Yeah. So one of the things you could have done a story like that, but you could have done it from the inside of the Jedi Order of the new Sith that was trying to be born. And I mean, you could stick with the whole Ben Kenobi or Ben Solo changing and becoming that, and then you could have the twins, and like you could have all those characters. You could introduce Mara J. You could have like a flashback into her and like her and Luke running this as they start investigating this new threat to the Galactic Republic. And instead of making the Galactic Republic look so weak, one shot, the whole Republic's dead.
That's just J.J. Abrams' power creep. Like, that had to be his influence. That had to be his idea. Oh, we had one Death Star? Nah, bro.
We're gonna have a Death Planet.
Death Planet. Gonna kill 7 of them. Whole system. The Hosnian system. Gone. What?
Gone. And the entire Alliance fleet. Or New Republic fleet at that point.
New Republic, yep. And then they still got called the Resistance anyway. I'm like, how are you the Resistance if you're the functioning government? How does that work?
Yeah. Who are you?
They just couldn't call them rebels. They knew they couldn't call it. They knew they couldn't use the word. There's another R word they couldn't use. Your point on the twins is spot on, dude. They were characters, right? Mara Jade, characters right there that people would have shelled out bucks for, multiple views, bought them. Dude, you mean to tell me for a brand that went out of their way to buy Star Wars to turn it into a girls brand, they went ahead and foregone making Mara Jade a live action thing? It just goes to show that they had no idea what they were buying, because that was your character, dumbass. That's the one you needed.
Yeah, former hand of the Emperor.
The flashbacks on that alone would have put my ass in a movie seat, dude. That 2 of them, 2 flashbacks in a 90-minute film of Mara Jade taking her order. She's on a knee taking an order from Palpatine, and then she gets that steely look and goes after Luke, because that was the first order, right? Assassinate Luke. Saying it was right there, dude. But no, what did they have to do? They had to drag all your favorite shit and make sure you knew they were doing it to give you 3 versions of people that could have been good. And that's the crime here, is those guys could have been good. They didn't care enough to make them work. They didn't care enough to make them try. Raise a Skywalker. Finn's comic relief. Poe gets cucked in part 2. And was he even in part 3? Was Poe even in part 3 or part 9? I don't even remember.
Was.
Oh yeah, he knew Zori Bliss. Who cares?
And he flew the Millennium Falcon on fire, doing micro jumps.
Dude, no, hyperspace skipping.
Yeah.
Oh my god, dude, that might even be dumber than the Holdo maneuver. I forgot all about that. He did something that they specifically said that they world built the rule. Dude, flying through hyperspace ain't like dusting crops, boy. You remember that line? There's a reason. Han told him, if
you
we
can't
don't
go into hyperspace inside of a gravity well.
Oh, you have to plan the trip. Otherwise, what do? You end your
might
trip
end up
real
in a star.
Saying, but they're like, nah, dude, we're just gonna skip and land in front of a dinosaur's mouth. Skip and land in front of a building. Skip and land in front of a parade. I'm like, dude, space is mainly, space. It's why we call it that. So you're so bad at hyperlane skipping that you found every population center and dinosaur imaginable and flew through its mouth. fuck off, show. I can't. It's so stupid, dude. What? Give me more of your creative vision if you had more on that, because I realized I torpedoed it. I apologize. I was just pissed.
Yeah, because you missed out on a lot of great characters. Like, I wouldn't recast. I would have had it where it was a passing of a torch type movie, unlike what they did do. Like, you had the part where, we all know Terry Fisher passed away, and she, like, her death meant nothing in the movie. They should have had her die in space when they did the Space Witch Leia part. Mary Leia.
Space Mary Poppins.
Yep.
Or Jedi Mary Poppins. Yep.
Yeah, Jedi Mary Poppins.
They shouldn't have done that part.
I'm Mary Poppins.
That part worked in that movie. That was a good use of the Mary Poppins meme. When Leia died in space in TLJ, like, I felt like somebody punched me in the stomach until all that stupid shit happened. Like, that was their moment. I'm like, you had me right there. Dude, Kylo Ren stalls on taking the shot. Some dipshit TIE fighter does it. I think he shoots that TIE fighter down out of anger, if I remember right. I think he did. And like, they're fucking, the whole bridge gets blown. I'm like, oh shit, this movie's not messing around. This is some Game of Thrones shit in here. No.
That would have been. Yeah.
It looked dumb, dude. It looked like when you first started using like After Effects like 15 years ago. Dude, look, I animated this clip of Leia from one side of the screen to the other. You know what I mean? It was like a beginner's first crack at it. It looked asinine. They didn't think any of that through.
And I do agree with you that we don't need any digital Tarkin face on anybody.
Awful. And I just heard, side note, I heard we might be getting some of that in Andor season 2. Specifically Tarkin.
Tarkin again?
It's time period appropriate.
Because
the Empire would be ISB.
Tarkin was in
has ISB.
Was in Rebel 1, so.
Right, that's what I'm saying. So I just actually literally just heard that the other day, is that there's some suspected Tarkinism going on. Like, oh,
I hope they do it as a digital face, like the phone call where you do the hologram. That would be perfect. They could do that. That would be.
Well, dude, when I heard the rumor that it was going to happen, the setup was perfect, because it reminded me, when you first see him in Rogue One, what you see is his reflection in a window. So you're like, okay, it can be kind of busted and distorted because it's just a crappy reflection. But then he turns around and they hold frame on him for like 8 seconds. No, this is stupid. I agree with you, dude. The holo call, like the holo pad thing that they use, like mini version, like in the Imperial Walker that Vader was on.
Yeah,
like, dude, that's what's up, dude. Do that. It doesn't
holo
have to be a
call or like a what is that voice only type call.
Dude, they could ADR a voice. They own the rights. They could absolutely bring him in there to. Sure.
That I would be acceptable and would be easy, but going full Tarkin face, I think it just didn't look right. The same thing when they did young Leia in that one.
I didn't mind the Leia one because it was right after she died, and I was super emotional anyway. Wait, Rogue One was way before that. She wasn't dead.
No, they just de-aged. They just put a de-aged face on another actress.
I remember getting really emotional that I saw her though. Maybe because it was Rogue One. We hadn't seen Star Wars in 15 years, but she was only there for like the 5 seconds. She was just like, she's like, we're bringing them hope, and then it was like, boom, they're done.
Yeah, it was going right into the beginning of episode
4.
Yeah,
right, New Hope. But if you know what I mean, though, but the Tarkin character in Rogue One was like a main sub boss antagonist that like literally the Krennic was taking orders from.
Yeah,
they had multiple scenes with him and with Vader. Like, Krennic should have been the whole villain in that movie, with like maybe one tie into Vader. But Carrie Fisher was there for 5 seconds, de-age, you know what I mean? So I let that slide, but the Tarkin was bad. Bad.
I mean, even Vader in that was actually tastefully done, because pretty much he was in the back in the tank, then he came out in his armor, he had like 4 or 5 lines, and then he walked out, and then that was the end of Vader.
Until the hallway.
Until the hallway part, where you actually saw what it looked like when he came through and just busted up some rebels.
Dude. And that was only, the Star Wars was never that cool again until Luke did that at the end of Mando season 2, and like it wasn't like a recreation of like technique, but it was the same fucking vibe. I was like, no, you threw 40 Death Troopers at him, and it did not fucking matter, because this is what it looks like when you're fully powered.
They did recast Luke. I think Sebastian's should definitely do it.
He said publicly he's down. He said publicly he is down. He's got Instagram posts that say that. Call him, Disney. Call him.
But
nobody likes Mark Hamill anymore. $700 autographs. Fuck him.
My idea would be to stick with the 30-year difference. but having what the showing what the I guess the Star Wars universe looked like.
Yeah.
And like you did definitely start something in the Outer Rim because it's hard to maintain. I mean, every type of book series like this, especially the one Galaxy Edge, talks about like how hard it is to maintain the planets on the edge. You have your core planets, you have your terrestrial planets, and then you have your edge. And the edge is always where the stuff goes wrong.
Because there's a basis for that in human history, is that the frontier, the new world, is always the Wild West. It's always out there because it's beyond the control of whichever colonial government exists typically. And we saw that in crappy Rebel Moon. You know what I mean? That like that core planet that they had to come to like steal grain from. It took the Empire, whatever they were called. I think they were even called the Empire, which is
Homeworld.
Homeworld. It took the Homeworld a long time to get there. So they had time to prepare to do that because they were just out there doing their thing. You know, and if you didn't give the Empire a reason in Star Wars to come find out, they probably left you alone and just collected their taxes, their supplies, whichever. But all right. I think that's good on the Star Wars rewrite. That was a nice little creative exercise and anger venting session. We got one more topic for you guys. It's another little creative bit. This one was, I think we kind of came up with this idea. I don't remember what it was proposed. Was this you or was this me or both? I feel like we both kind of stumbled on this.
Yeah, we were just there talking about the Star Wars one, and we brought up if you're going to do a series in Final Fantasy, because we're wanting a good Final Fantasy animated or live action.
Right.
We said if you did a live action Final Fantasy, what Final Fantasy do you do? Do you do 7 because of the popularity?
Oh yeah, if we were
to
pick
Cloud,
game, that's right.
Or do you go back and do like?
Did you recognize that?
Yeah. Actually, this is the enhanced graphic. This ain't the PlayStation 1.
No. The Final Fantasy and the logo in the middle, that's box art from the OG Nintendo game. Or from the OG Famicom game for Japan. Yeah, that's Cloud from the update, and I think that's Kane from the remastered in America. It was Final Fantasy 2.
So we were talking about which one would we do in a live action and how would we do it as a live action, because we've had 3 animated films by them, one computer CGI.
All been right. I was like, none of them have been live action with like we've cast human beings. They've all been either CG or traditionally animated. Correct.
Yep. Yeah, you had 2 traditionally animated, one I think in anime style.
Yep.
Not really true animation, but anime. I mean, because it is animation, but they have their own little like
you mean Western versus anime style, right?
Yeah.
Gotcha.
And then the other one was like computer generated mocap animation.
When it was new.
Yeah.
When it was new.
When everyone had that weird look. They talked about it really good in the new Chip and Dale movie, which is, if you haven't seen that one, go see that. It's just hilarious.
I heard good things, actually.
Yeah,
we missed it here.
But Andy Samberg is Chip in that one. Or no, Dale. He was Dale.
True.
So it was fun. It was a fun movie, and they talked about that type of animation style.
Everybody looked like wax that was claymation, but it wasn't claymation. You know what I mean? It was a little uncanny. It was early evolution of Uncanny Valley. You know, where it looks better than anything hand drawn, kinda, but it still looks plastic. So yeah.
So that was our question, mostly to you guys, is which one would you guys do? Like, do you go back to 7 with the popularity of 7, where they did the remaster and they never got a true sequel that was in the 7 universe? There's only, I think, 2 that actually got sequels in the same planet. One was Final Fantasy XI, which was the first, their MMORPG, had a separate game that was a solo player that was set in the same world just years later after the events of the MMORPG.
I think it was 12, because didn't they have 12-2, or was it 10? And because it was X2, I think it was 10.
And then 10. X2. Yeah, they had X2, which was the second one of. So would you do one of those stories because of the popularity of the world? Because one, you had the MMORPG in it, so there was a lot of players in that. I mean, Final Fantasy had a very popular style there. So do you go in that world and create a Final Fantasy story, or do you go to X, where you have a lot of the traditional characters from American version of Final Fantasy 1, because Final Fantasy 1 in America was actually Final Fantasy 3 in Japan.
Yeah, that's all. I was just on Wikipedia before we started to kind of catch up on that, and I'm like, nope, can't remember any of that for the show. But I do remember just growing up knowing there were versions of the game that we didn't get, that the numerology was off, that the first one we got, was already well into the series. They had our Final Fantasy one, like you said, was later down the line from them, and then they skipped us for a couple of games. So then our part 2 was their part 4 or some nonsense. It was all out of whack, you know. Dude, I don't. I have kind of a blackout zone for me gaming wise that came through like late high school, early college. I didn't play the original FF7. I had bought the remake actually like a year ago when that came out. I have Rebirth, not remake, or whichever one was first. It's great. I know it's great. I recognize it's like knowing Star Wars is great, but not having seen it yourself for whatever reason. I know Final Fantasy VII is dope. I get that. But for me, the one that I had played the most growing up was our Final Fantasy II. I think that was 4 in Japan. The main character in the show is Cecil. He starts the game as a Dark Knight and ends up becoming a paladin during the run. It's got a lot of Star Wars tropes in it. That's probably why I like it. Like, you find out the head villain is actually your brother, kind of thing. Like, you find out Golbez is your brother. Your best friend Kane, who's a dragoon, gets seduced by the dark side, and then he has to atone for his bullshit at the end of the game. It had a very simple love story, which for like a preteen teen, it was good enough. Like, you still felt weird when you were playing because you're like, oh my god, Cecil and Rosa, like, they're gonna get mad. I was in that phase when I was playing this game, But I hate saying it, diverse cast of characters. If they play on some stereotypes, like you got Yang, who's obviously the East Asian stereotype, but he's the kung fu master. You got the white bread twins that are the white and black mages in that world. You've got the old Gandalf character Tella. So I think that, and the story just works. Like, for all the elements I said, there's a hero's journey, there's a redemption arc, there's a world-ending evil, there's character growth and change as people find their own way. And because it's not as complicated as something like 11 or what's the other online one? 14? My numbers are all
14.
I think 4. You just said 14 is the other one, right? Right. So because the MMOs have great core stories, like my younger brother has like a gazillion hours in 14 and could tell you the main story in and out, but it took him like 80 hours to get to that. Final Fantasy, like our Final Fantasy 2, you can bang that out in a weekend. Like, that's probably like an 8-hour game tops if you run it through and don't grind. So you can adapt that into like a 90-minute live action film very effectively, I think, because it has all those core recognizable elements. But I'm rambling now because I love that game, and now I'm going to go get it on the Switch because it's awesome. I'm getting the impression would you go with 7 or would you go newer? We were talking about 15 the other day, or 16.
Yeah, 15. I think 15 I think would be an interesting story with the brothers, or technically it was a prince.
That's the Stranger Things one, right? I call it that one because it's the 4 boys.
Yeah, because you have the prince and his friend, his bodyguard, and like just 3 friends, but one of them liked his bodyguard, the other one's like the kid he grew up with. And I forgot the relationship of the other one, but that one was very interesting until a certain point. After a certain point, it just kind of fell off, and like I think 90% of the people just fell off from playing at that point, and that's once you get on the boat. Once you get on the boat to head off to meet your princess that you're going to marry, it just kind of dies off.
We don't know how the whole story ends up. Maybe it's great. I don't know. So then, if you're ruling that one out, then would you do 7? Would you bring the Cloud versus Shinra story to live action? Because that's a long ass game too. That might be tough for one movie. I
think they could do it, and they could adapt it a little bit into like a post-apocalyptic fantasy world where like fantasy kind of took over, kind of like the Swords of Shannara type story.
Yep. Because they've already had that infused with like the steampunk stuff, with like the power supply and districts being kind of subpar living standards, class warfare. I think it could go right there. I think that's plenty good opportunity for commentary and satire too.
So you were talking about Cecil, and like he kind of has the whole Luke Vader type moment. That story was actually a very old story by Alexander Dumas with Man in the Iron Mask.
I'm saying these are that's what I mean. The best parts of our modern fiction from when we were kids, 80s, 90s, you know what I mean, those are the reimagined for modern audiences that work.
Yeah,
that's how you do it. You know what I'm saying? That's how it's done. You don't subvert the expectations of taking those classic stories by making Vader a good guy all along and turning on the Emperor at the beginning of Empire Strikes Back. It doesn't work. It doesn't work that way, dumbass. You don't have Luke automatically good at everything. Like, you make him a whiny bitch for a movie until he takes the hero shot at the end. That's how it works. You have him lose Ben. People have to suffer on the way. I don't know. I think that if they went with 7, and I agree, I think that'd be a solid pick because I think it's modern enough that people would dig it. You know what I mean? It's familiar enough, I think, to a lot of gamers that would put out positive word of mouth on a good movie. And it could probably put some butts in seats. There's a lot to pick from, though.
A lot to pick from. And hopefully they just do it good, unlike the Spirit Within?
I think that was a technology. I mean, I don't remember it enough, like, story-wise, but I think the tech really got in the way on that one. I think that was kind of just shocking. You know, I have to go back and, like, read the screenplay for maybe I'll look that up tonight. That might be an interesting read because I don't have, like, a familiar vision of the movie in my head anymore.
You know? I just remember Alec Baldwin was one of the voices in it. He voiced the commander.
No idea. That's what I mean. I probably saw that once in, 2000 or 98. I don't even remember when it came out. It's old. Like, it's old now, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like, it's pre 9/11 old, I think. 9/11 was a historical disaster, everybody, in case you didn't know and you're listening. Yeah, I think that I'm surprised they haven't mined it yet. Like, I'm surprised, like, as a quick extension, I'm surprised that they haven't taken a poke at, like, Mass Effect or something like that for, like, a big screen adaptation. The world is rife for that kind of stuff. You know, expansive universe, multiple characters. You could slide your diversity stuff in there because the game features it organically. You know?
Yeah, one of the things is that just the risk of doing a big budget, technically space opera. You're going to have that's just going to be an astronomical budget just for the CGI alone.
Dude, if they can do Rebel Moon, they can do Mass Effect. Just saying.
Well, at least Rebel Moon they were all humans with very little, like, actual aliens.
That's true, but I mean, you could do a Mass Effect and just you have your one ship. You know what I mean? You have that one ship you're on. You pick the Citadel. You pick the planet. You have to probably manipulate some of the story to condense it a bit. But then, dude, you know, maybe you go practical for the cast members you have. I mean, you get the purple chick. You got the dude with the lizard head. I don't know if they can give me the Thing for Fantastic Four practical effects. They can do Mass Effect. I think. Are we good? Are we good on time? I think we hit our hour. Do we hit our mark? I think we did our thing.
Oh yeah, we're way past our hour.
Oh snap! Well, I'm seeing an hour and 2 minutes, but I think that's where we're gonna bid everybody farewell to FrostCast episode 5. It's been a doozy, and if you're new here, you know King Z likes to give a really long outro. Hit him, King Z.
Well, see ya.